Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and esteemed panelists, it is with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you here this morning. My name is Sergei Rybakobylko. I'm the founder of Commonwealth Partnership. We're working in Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, Russia, and Armenia as development managers, property consultants, agents, investment advisors, and asset managers. We have been partners in development for our clients in all sectors of real estate in this region for the last 30 years. As we gather here today under the theme of integrated urban planning, quality investments, ecology, and comfort for people, we're embarking on a crucial dialogue that holds immense significance for the future of Tashkent and beyond. In an era characterized by rapid urbanization and dynamic global trends, the role of effective urban planning has never been more pivotal. Our discussion will delve into the multifaceted aspects of urban development, exploring how we can strike a delicate balance between economic growth, environmental sustainability, and social equity. We will examine the evolving landscape of urban planning, drawing insights from innovative approaches and best practices from around the world, as well as from Tashkent. Tashkent, as the vibrant capital of Uzbekistan, stands at a pivotal juncture in its journey towards sustainable development and inclusive prosperity, as outlined in President Mirziyoyev's opening remarks yesterday. It is imperative that we harness the collective wisdom and expertise which is gathered here today to chart a course that nurtures the aspirations of its citizens while preserving the cultural heritage and natural beauty that defines this historic city. As moderator of this esteemed panel, my role is not only to facilitate meaningful dialogue, but also to ensure that our discussions yield actionable insights and concrete recommendations. I encourage all participants to engage thoughtfully, share their perspectives openly, and contribute constructively towards our shared goal of shaping a more resilient, vibrant, and livable Tashkent for generations to come. In closing, let us embrace the spirit of collaboration and innovation as we embark on this journey of exploration and discovery. Together, let us pave the way for the future where integrated urban planning in Tashkent fosters sustainable growth, nurtures living and thriving communities, and enhances the quality of life for all. Thank you. Please allow me to briefly introduce our panel this morning. Starting from my right, Takhmina Turdalieva, Chair of the Young Architects Association of Uzbekistan. Takhmina also named as top 100 women architects in the world according to Royal Institution of British Architects. Takhmina is also founder of Tata Labs UZ. Trained architect. Welcome, Takhmina. Thank you for coming. Next, Ekaterina Shapachka, Director at the Global Center for Future of Cities with BCG, one of the leading global advisors. Ekaterina is based in Dubai. Thank you very much for coming. Manuela Gato, based in London, is a director at Zaha Hadid Architects, where she's been working now for 22 years, from the very early days of Zaha's practice. Thank you, Manuela. It's a long trip. İlkay Çorgunda, architect by profession, director and leader for cities planning and design practice at Arab in Turkey. And Aiden Rahimbayev, chairman of BI Group Holding. BI is the largest developer in Central Asia, with presence in Tashkent. Aiden is a construction engineer by profession. Thank you very much, Aiden, for joining us. The way in which our discussion will take shape today is that our panelists will share a few slides, their presentations, which will hopefully give us some food for thought and for discussion. We will ask some follow-up questions, and then if we have time at the end, there may be questions for the audience. I will be asking Ekaterina Shapichka to take the floor, please, with the presentation of BCG. The focus, Ekaterina, as I understand, will be on livable cities. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Sergey, for your introduction. Dear guests, dear participants, I'm very happy to open this roundtable with a very interesting title. Yeah, we are going to talk about integrated urban planning and how it contributes to both economic growth and livability. I work in BCG and I run our Global Center for Future of Cities. For this, sorry, yeah. In the center, we are studying the trends that shape the city's landscape. And here you may see a few trends that we believe are the most important for the future of cities and will define the city's landscape and future readiness of the cities. So we talk about, of course, urbanization and migration. Migration is growing faster than ever now, which definitely creates challenges for cities' development. We talk about new urban mobility with walkability, with micromobility, with 15-minute city. We talk about growth, economic growth and innovation, and actually not only economic goals, but also industrial development goals are coming back to the cities, and cities are now very interested to redevelop industrial sites to boost its economic growth and balance various economic challenges. Digitalization, services, smart infrastructure, sustainability and resilience. So just, everyone knows about the current climate challenges and temperature rise, etc., and residence centricity. Based on these trends, we measure how cities are ready for future. And our core tool in BCG is called Cities of Choice Global Ranking. We've been doing this ranking for the last 5 years, 3 publications already. We believe it's quite unique because it combines objective assessment of what cities do and how they get ready for the future with resident centricity and subjective feelings of people, of residents. We do it through basically data gathering. 85% of indicators are objective statistics and our calculations, and 15% are based on the survey of 30,000 people. Also looking into the structure, and this is important for our discussion, you will probably think about something that was included into Maslow pyramid, right? Because in the basis we have the basic needs of people. That's about economic activity. And then we go further into how they feel in the place where they live. We talk about livability, then we talk about how they feel in the society. We measure social capital, and then we measure their relationships with authorities, how they get government services, how they participate in shaping the agenda, and the last but not the least, speed of change. Actually, loyalty of residents, what we call advocacy, is very much correlated to the speed of change, how quickly cities are able to implement changes and develop. So based on this, structure, we rate 79 cities, and then, working with cities and showing them the results, we have, of course, a lot of discussions about, why I'm on this place and not in the other place. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses, etc. And I will show you just one of the views of the results of this ranking, where we try to show 2 distinct, let's say, axes of livability and economic strengths of the cities. Why we did it? Because actually quite often cities are asking us, we have a dilemma. We have just limited resources in terms of land in terms of financial resources, our administrative resource, but where should we direct it? Should we prioritize economic growth, or should we prioritize livability? Yeah, should we build another industrial site, or should we build a park? And how it will be reflected in our kind of overall, growth, ranking, position, etc. So we tried to position our cities in the ranking in these two dimensions, and we saw that actually there are three distinct groups here. One group of the cities in the upper part are very good in livability. The other group, I would say that's more consisting of the development cities, are very good in growth and pace of growth. But there is a third group of cities which are in the top right position, which are good in everything. And interestingly enough, these cities are actually leaders of all global rankings. So they kind of successfully combine economic growth and livability. Yeah? Then we started to explore, how they actually do it. And since we are talking now about integrated urban planning, I think we can discuss a few lessons of, what are the tools to combine both economic growth and GDP and livability. Yeah, and I will name a few and give a few examples. Here, for example, in terms of economic growth, how the integrated master planning, urban planning can help us raise productivity. Yeah, first of all, it's because land is short, cluster for concentration. That's lesson number one. Number two, build very adaptive infrastructure for economy 4.0. For example, what do you do to, welcome the driverless cars or drones which do delivery in the city, for example, yeah? And the third lesson is introduce the mixed use to boost economic activity everywhere. The second lesson is growing jobs. So don't be afraid of density, yeah? You need to place your jobs, your labor force, where the economy and production needs them, yeah? But at the same time, of course, you need to balance this with livability, not to harm overall livability and urban environment. Second lesson is plan for larger market, labor market. Integrate agglomeration around you and make sure that this labor in the agglomeration is accessible for jobs within the city. And of course, ensure livability to attract talent. The third one is enabling investment, and this is about variety and quality of real estate that you are building. So this is where polycentricity comes into play, yeah, so that investors have choice in terms of where to invest, and of course, quality of real estate. And the third one is pure livability, which comes with three parameters: accessibility, quality, and variety of your real estate and services, and 15 minutes city, which is basically a master plan for happiness, and I will talk about it. A few examples of how the cities that are excelling in our ranking are combining economic growth, boosting economic growth. London, very diligent master planning to place 1 million additional jobs within the city. And they were actually diligent enough to place separately blue collars and white collars close to the enterprises where these people would be living. At the same time, they have created bigger labor markets through very high connectivity of London and agglomeration. Sydney, before high concentration in the business center, which created congestion and high prices for real estate, now Sydney is building polycentric city with 3 cities. For example, one of these 3, apart from CBD, is the Aero City around the new airport, where they boost a lot of economic activities in warehousing, packaging, and build a lot of residential around it. So, but they also ensure integration through high-speed rail within these 3 cities. And
about a minute remaining.
Yeah, I'm finishing. And the third example is Beijing Master Plan, which suffered from urbanization. Now it's growing still 2%, while China is growing 0%. Yeah, so it's total renovation and placing of economic activities within the center of the city instead of slums. City for everyone, that cities are developing specific strategies for specific groups, like for skateboarding people, or for cyclists, or for people with obesity. 15-minute city as a concentration of economic activities and livability. Yeah, this is example of Melbourne, which is building actually a 10-minute city and combining economic activities and services based on their livability strategy. Same China, Shanghai, where they place specific hubs for people within the 15-minute city, for different groups of people. And then a few lessons, and I'm finishing. This is the last slide. Yeah, so there is no choice between economic activities and livabilities. You need to combine both, yeah, just using this integrated urban planning and these approaches. Greenfield is easier, and here Tashkent has a lot of potential with the new developments, of course, yeah, because you can plan it in advance, you can have the very clear strategy indicators, you can use the 15-minute city concept, yeah, and you can basically combine livability and economic activity from the beginning. Brownfield is more difficult, but again, you can reach, these two goals through renovation, through 15-minute city, and through attaching the new districts, renovated districts to the, let's say, old city. Yeah, okay, I'm finishing.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina. I just want to be cognizant of time, and I think what we're going to do is go to the next deck of slides. And then we'll have some follow-up questions at the end of the presentations to make sure everyone has a chance to present. So Tahmina, may I ask you to speak about what you see as a practicing architect, a leader of a local community of architects and urban designers in Tashkent, as far as community engagement and partnership with citizens in urban development in Tashkent.
Thank you very much, Sergey. Yeah, as a local architect, I thought that it would be good to tell about some urban planning practices happening in Uzbekistan, particularly in Tashkent, and tell about projects and other practices. Firstly, I have to tell that I'm really happy to be here and represent two companies, organizations, which are really dear to me. First of it is Tata Lab, which represents my professional practice, and Association of Young Architects, which represents interest of all young architects in Uzbekistan. So I'm going to talk about public engagement and how it can help to develop integrated urban planning. Investments, to one degree or another, form an integral part of any professional activity. Especially investments play an extremely important role in the largest industries of national significance, such as urban planning. Urban planning is also one of the most important areas of state activity. Theoretically, state policy regarding urban planning should be based on the interest of national strategy and the interest of citizens in developing a comfortable environment for a living. And according to recently adopted measures in Uzbekistan, it can be concluded that state policy supports the interest of citizens. In particular, much has been done to develop civil society in Uzbekistan. For example, establishment of the platform for social projects financing called Open Budget, and also establishment of national movement Yükseliş to support interest of communities and activists, and a number of other measures, and all these measures are also reflected in the field of urban planning. As an example, I would like to tell about the project that allowed citizens and independent experts, professionals, to take part in decision-making processes to improve the urban environment, on the example of the reconstruction of Al-Kharizmi Square in Tashkent, initiated by young architects and national movement Yükseliş. A little bit about historical context. The opening ceremony of Al-Khwarizmi Monument initially took place in 1983. The monument was originally crafted by gypsum, and there were ambitious plans to transfer it to granite. However, this aspiration remained unrealized, and over time structural issues emerged, leading to its eventual collapse. In 2021, activists came up with the initiative to revive the monument and reconstruct the square. An essential aspect of the initiative was the involvement of the community in decision-making. A competition was then announced for young architects to propose for the reconstruction of Al-Khwarizmi Square in Tashkent. The winning project was presented to Hakimiyat and deputies to receive administrative support in implementing the design project. The implementation of the project required substantial funding, and the Yükseliş movement successfully secured budget for inaugural phase of construction through the mentioned above platform open budget. And eventually, the construction of Al-Khwarizmi Square officially commenced in May 2022. Activists maintained public control over all stages of reconstruction, ensuring transparency and adherence to the proposed concept. Nowadays, the inaugural phase of construction is in progress, concentrating on installation of fundamental infrastructure. The initiators persist in their efforts to secure funding for subsequent stages, encompassing the construction of pavilion, establishment of interactive zones, and landscaping. To conclude, it's important to say, beyond its cultural and historical significance, the reconstruction of Al-Khwarizmi Square allies with broader socio-economic goals. The development of public spaces, as exemplified by this initiative, has the potential to attract investment, stimulate retail outlets, and enhance, eventually, the overall well-being of population. Thank you.
Tahmina, thank you very much. It's an excellent example of how mixed use is actually achieved through a grassroots effort in a very interesting corner of Tashkent with a lot of history. So thank you very much for sharing this.
Thank you.
I will be next asking us to move to more, let's say, global view on urban planning, and I will be asking İlkay Çorgunda, the director of architecture at Arab, to speak about the urban development through the lens of neighborhoods and city clusters. We heard about the importance of city clusters in Ekaterina's presentation, that this is one of the recipes for how cities can achieve both livability objectives and economic development. So it would be interesting to hear your input on this, İlkay.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for having everyone. Cities has become one of the major facing population growth nowadays. 55% of the world population is living in the cities currently, and this would be like 68% in 2050. The vast majority of people will be living in the cities, and we need to organize this. And just jump here, city planning and design means more like a multidisciplinary work nowadays. It involves, urban planners, architects, engineers, but economists, sociologists, climate resilience, transport, many experts should be involved. And we believe there are three major points in city planning and design. The first is net zero, because of the greenhouse emissions needs to be half by 2030, and it's just 6 years from now on. And so we must focus on doing net zero operational, consuming and embodied carbon. The second is resilience. The world is facing many catastrophic events, like recently in Dubai, in Kazakhstan, there were floods. And the community's infrastructure should be withstanding these challenges, and this should be physically, yes, but psychologically and economically as well. And the third is what we have been discussing, the well-being, and this brings the quality of life and also what Takmina introduced. And I would like to talk about the livable neighborhoods, just focus, and there are 10 approaches in this. And each 10 approach has its own significance, and they are measurable as in the presentation presented before. And this means that the 15-minute city is a person, the inhabitants can do their daily life within a 15-minute walk or a short bike ride. They can reach everywhere and they can have their daily life. And with this, the first one is the complete neighborhood. I just like to talk about it. This is the main aspect of the 15-minute city, where you can get everywhere. You can have your daily life safely, reaching fresh groceries, your work, and your healthcare, education. It's a decentralized urban planning system. Actually, this is the opposite of the last decade's major urban planning idea, which was the districts. Beforehand, there was the business district, there was the residential district, the commercial district, government district, and every day people are traveling from residential district to business district and at night coming back, so this needed a lot of transportation and everything. And now the main idea is like the livable neighborhoods, and there are many examples through the world that's been applied. There are, smaller neighborhood scaled, like 15-minute city examples, and they are connected with transport, I mean urban, good quality transport. Just want to case study a small project. This is something we have been doing in Turkey, Ankara, the capital city. And in this project, the streets are being transformed. It's only within a neighborhood with the join of the municipality and the stakeholders, listening to stakeholders. And now just making the streets other than just a lane for the motorized cars. I mean, people can use streets every hours of day for different functions. And in this, we involved many stakeholders, and I think in the previous presentation how it was mentioned, the importance of stakeholders, their active engagement. And when we mean stakeholders, it's a big group of people. It's not just the residents, it's the local authorities, it's the private investors, it's the contractors, it's the tourists, NGOs. I mean, if it's a touristic city, it's tourists also. And they must be for example, for this project, we have communicated with them, just bringing the stakeholders and the experts together. They define the problem, they set the targets, they define the vision, and after the implementation, a communication has been done with them. 1 minute, you're saying? Okay, sorry. And again, I would like to, when we come to Tashkent example, we have prepared the Resilient Tashkent report for World Bank in 2020-21. I just want to mention about it. And also, Tashkent is one of the first cities in Central Asia to have implementing such a report, such a strategy, and I think that's very valuable. Also, in this example, many stakeholders were involved, and they all defined the stresses Tashkent city is facing with the experts. And there are two major items. This is similar to the region cities like the flood and the earthquake. And also other stresses were defined like air pollution and some of the infrastructural things. And they are being addressed, the problems are being addressed to be solved, and I think they are being implemented as we see in the city. As an architect, there is one thing, it wasn't mentioned in the report, but I just like to point out about it. It's the cultural heritage. When we say Uzbekistan, Tashkent, there is a different, I think, vision in our heads, saying that this city has been used for over centuries, for over civilizations, and that, I mean, that must be preserved in reality. And in transformation of the cities, this may be hard with the new investments, and that is something the stakeholders should look after, I think. And last but not least, I just want to mention a documentation that my colleagues been pulling up from different projects, from different case studies. The City is Alive. It's an open platform. I can share the link after this discussion if you want. And they point out like the vulnerable minority problems regarding the cities, for example, or elderly cities. How do cities look like for the elderly? How do cities look like for the children? What are the new aspects? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a lot of material also for the guests and the visitors here to absorb. Thank you also for offering to share some of the information that you've presented. If those of you who are here have a chance to speak to you directly and get this, that's great. Otherwise, you can go through me and I will direct the requests and then get this information to you. Let's make it practical also. And thank you for also sharing the report, Resilient Tashkent. It was done in 22, and we're working in Tashkent. I have not seen this report. This is like, it's done for Tashkent, but it's not available in Tashkent. I think these opportunities also exist to share some of the outcomes, recommendations, and make them much more widely understood and appreciated and probably taken on board by teams like what BI Group projects we're going to be speaking about next. So thank you very much for introducing what is being done by the international community to help understand Tashkent better and understand the opportunities to develop it better. Thanks, Ilkay. And the next, I will be asking Aydin Rahimbayev, the chairman of BI Group, to speak about the investment climate in Tashkent through the lens of an active real estate investor, developer, and partner to the city.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Tashkent. Доброе утро.
Good morning.
Is really important information. Let me continue in Russian. Пару слов, наверное.
I would like to tell a bit at the beginning.
For change language. В двух словах.
Just briefly telling, our company is a leader in Central Asian countries on the housing construction, on the apartments. For instance, on the screen you can see that we've constructed 102,000 apartments, and we are providing the maintenance to all of them, and we are actively working with all the partners in 7 countries, but Uzbekistan in upcoming future is and will be a strategic important direction for the cooperation. We have several conditions for that I will be talking a bit further. First of all, that's a very hospitable and friendly country, and we are really close with Kazakhstan. Our main business is located in Kazakhstan, and for us it's really important to have this investment climate that we have. We have a lot of experience of working with other countries as well. And it is important to highlight that in Uzbekistan, we see the investment attractiveness is being increased, and the legislation is being developed. 5 years ago, we've entered to the market of Uzbekistan, and we have established the mutual companies with the local players. We've established the energy company together with the Murad Buildings company, and now we're successfully developing together and separately with different projects. Just briefly telling, if you pay attention to the real estate market forecast, in particular in Tashkent, 3 years ago, for instance, we had 5,600 flats sold, apartments sold, and now we have 30,000. And we see that this will be construction boom in Tashkent, and based on our forecasting, we see that it will be even more increased, not 30,000 but 40,000, based on the needs that we have in the market in order to fill the gaps. Currently, for instance, in Tashkent, we have 22 square meters for the citizen, which means that there is the opportunity to increase the conditions. In Beijing, for instance, it's 34 square meters per person. In Astana, 31. In Warsaw, 29 square meters. That's why we have a great potential in Tashkent. This is the growing population, the increasing attractiveness for the investments, and etc. And now I'd like to talk about the evolution. Our colleagues highlighted the directions on which we need to move on. And here you can see some information and the history of the development of Tashkent. At the beginning of 2000s, you can see that the new apartments were presented as the improved standards. After several years, here you can see that we are paying more attention to the architecture design. Then after that, in 2015, we are paying more focus now to the interiors of common areas, the internal design, and within the last years, as you may see on the screen as well, in the market here in Tashkent and in Kazakhstan, we see a great accent paid to the spatial and landscape design, integrated development, and life scenario. And now the citizens are paying more attention as well to the internal gardens that we may have near our flats. With regard to the trends, the complex construction, as it was mentioned by my colleagues, the concept of the 15-minute cities is being also implemented. We are looking through these trends. We have a lot of companies established here as well, and our companies are also ready. And we have Big Wheel company, comfort residential neighborhoods, which means that everything important is nearby. These are the retail, school, parks, sport, kindergarten, neighborhood centers, know-how, where you can just spend your time with your friends, with your relatives, and elder people can also relax. We have successful cases that were implemented and finalized, particularly with the support of our company as well. And here I would like to tell not only about the keyless entry or the Face ID or everything which is needed for the comfort living and the level of digitalization I would like to highlight. This is the security that we are ensuring. This is the monitoring of the children to the school and the access to the schools in the digital form with the digital keys. And now we have the practice and the projects in which we need only the mobile phones to use. Mobile phone with an access to all the apartments, school, and other facilities that they are entering to. And we have approximately 1,000 cameras to ensure the security in neighborhood I think this is also important thing for the comfort living of the citizens here. And I would like to tell now in Tashkent, we have a new project that we are launching, and now it is located at the crossroad of the historical part of Tashkent and the Agni Tashkent, which is a new Tashkent, which was approved approximately months ago, and 400 hectares of land was dedicated to us, and now we are developing the planning, urban planning for that land together with the Hakimiyat. And I would like to say that all the new trends that we have in the whole world and our colleagues highlighted, we want to implement them at that project in Tashkent. We have an experience that we developed, and we have all the pros and cons that we faced during our experience and the practice by cooperating with other international players. And we are applying all those achievements. Everything important is nearby. The level of the digitalization that I've highlighted during my speech also is planned to be ensured here to ensure maximum comfort to all the citizens. You have the last minute. Yes, thank you. I'm finishing. So, taking that opportunity, I would like to say that we are the company that invests a lot to the digitalization, and in upcoming future, we are planning to spend $40 million for the digitalization, and the huge part of it will be spent to Uzbekistan, according to our calculations. So there will be opportunity to develop all the softwares and the apps that are important not only for the complex but for the comfort living in the whole city, and that's the apps on the roads and etc. That's all from my side, and I think that later we may discuss all the new trends. We are the company that implements and tries to implement all the trends in the real life. Thank you.
Much. I think for us, it's a really nice capstone on the conversation, going from the concept of urban development to best practices to how it's actually being implemented in the other countries where you're working, and also in Tashkent, in the new project, in the Yangi Tashkent. I would like to ask Manuela Gatto, the director of Zaha Hadid Architects, to speak about the transit-oriented development, because this was also a big subject of the conversations about the improvement of infrastructure. One major element of making city livable is to make the city movable. And also the value of iconic in architecture and urban planning. This is what Zaha Hadid Architects specialize in. So Manuela, please.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah. Sorry, I think we went too fast. Okay, thank you. Sorry about the mishap with the slides. They were not updated. Today, I would like to talk about the multifaceted nature of our contemporary cities. And with my presentation, as Sergei was anticipating, I'd like to also illustrate how we, as designers and master planners, can support stakeholders in their path towards a sustainable and integrated urban planning. First, a very quick word about who we are. We are a practice founded in 1979 by Dame Zaha Hadid. And she's been, and we have been at the forefront of architecture, urban planning, art and design for over 40 years. We are known internationally for our dynamic and innovative projects which build on Zaha's own revolutionary exploration in the field of urbanism, architecture, and design. Now, just wanted to explain a little bit how we approach urban design. We want to approach it two ways. First off, starting off by strategizing with the decision makers, which actions can both enhance the sense of recognition and ownership by the citizens, but also at the same time trigger early private investment. So in order to achieve this goal, we think it's essential that this strategy is represented by means of a very compelling and exciting nature and narrative. And this narrative needs to be visually very compelling, very, very clear, and involve an architectural vision which is clearly defined. And in our experience also, by introducing, Sergey was saying, TOD, so transport-oriented development, together with public culture projects very early on in the planning process, we have seen this, and it has been proven to be an effective catalyst, not only in terms of improving the uplifts of land value, but also to boost investors' confidence. We, of course, at the same time advocate for a design which is human-centered and grounded on the three pillars of sustainability: the social, economic, and environmental sustainability. The complete integration in this sense of technology with well-being and inclusivity has to be at the core of any sustainable design. Since the very beginning of our practice, our mission has been to connect the built environment with the natural environment in a new kind of landscape. This is really at the core of our philosophy, at the core of the philosophy of our founder. Nature, in this sense, has to flow together with the cities, and this is a great way, of course, of enriching people's lives. So from the onset, we think it's important to assist the public authorities to achieve an economically sustainable development by strategically utilizing public transport in order to facilitate the long-term planning of a vibrant, livable and sustainable community. So we always aim at incorporating nature in the built environment, no matter the typology, in particular with transport typologies, in order to enhance well-being and quality of life. So now I'm going to show an example of TOD combined with the 15-minute city model, which we are building in China. It's an island in Chengdu. It's called Unicorn Island. It's a 1 million square meter urban mixed-use project, a great large neighborhood, quite dense neighborhood, which is centered around 1 metro station, 2 metro lines, a single underground parking at the center, which makes the entire island entirely pedestrianized. And another example of TOD, we designed many. This one has been built in Prague. It's called Masaryk Railway Station. And I think it's an example of how a compact, walkable and pedestrian-friendly mixed-use neighborhood can be centered around a high-quality rail system. And we believe the good quality architecture is able to embrace the public realm and amplify the economic uplift triggered by the proximity to transport hubs, but also promote sustainable urban growth. And also, of course, true landmark architecture is important because it has the capacity of illustrating a city's ambition and become an integral part of a city cultural identity. And I'm going to show an example of a project which we think was successful in this sense. It's a project in Baku. So since 1991, we know Azerbaijan has invested heavily in modernizing and developing the country, in particular Baku. And our project for the Heydar Aliyev Center is an educational and cultural building, and possibly it was one of the first, well, it was one of the first contemporary cultural icons built in Baku. And it's a project that, together with some others, kick-started the cultural enrichment and regeneration of the city as it moved away from its focus on oil extraction. It has been, we are particularly proud because it's been embraced by the people of Azerbaijan to the point that you can find it on the local currency, but also you can find it stamped on your passport when you enter the country. Another project which we, this time on an more urban scale, which we are very proud of, is our master plan for Bilbao, Zorzaure, a central area of Bilbao, which was integral part of the symbolic transformation of Bilbao, which was previously an industrial quite dirty city, and has invested majorly into environmental decontamination, flood protection, riverfront development, as well as a significant expansion of the public transport system with an urban introduction of an urban tram, for instance, major improvement to the squares, streets, parks. But I think one of the key decisions there was that the strategic decision by the municipality to engage very early on with a worldwide renowned cultural institution, in particular Guggenheim, triggering what we all know as being the Bilbao effect many years ago. So I just wanted to add that we as a practice really welcome the opportunity of helping shaping the future of those cities who have the ambition of becoming symbolic environmental I guess, that really want to combine that economic vitality and forward-looking heritage preservation to become beacons for future urban regeneration worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuela. Well, I think the slides and the images really speak for what is possible to achieve in the cities that really aspire to create something really outstanding. And I think what your message about the fact that iconic architecture really can trigger economic development in a way that it catalyzes focus from investors and people that maybe are not so familiar with a city like Chengdu or Tashkent. And that by itself creates a virtuous circle of more people, more focus, more money, and more opportunities. So thank you very much, Manuela. We are almost out of time, but I wanted to give us an opportunity to hear from some of the panelists the way they think and the way they speak about the opportunities that they observe here in the city of Tashkent. So we don't just subject you to a death by 100 slides. So why don't we start with Tahmina and ask Tahmina, because I think what was interesting with respect to the local community engagement, there is a very strong local aspect of life in Tashkent, which is Mahala, the local districts, local councils. Wanted to ask Tahmina, what role does community engagement and participatory decision making, which you talked about, what role does it play in shaping the current and future of Tashkent in your view, particularly the role of Mahala and the district councils? You can speak in Russian if it's more convenient.
Yeah.
A couple of minutes if you may.
Okay, at this point I'm going to switch to Russian, yes. Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to say a few words with regard to the engagement of the communities in the city. I think that the engagement of the community in big cities in any country plays a very important role, because the city is a very big organism, and without support of its citizens, residents, it cannot develop further. And the city becomes what it is thanks to the engagement of their population, of their residents. If you look into the Tashkent as an example, I believe that taking into account those ambitious objectives that we had in front of Tashkent to be among 50 best cities on livability until 2030, which is 6 years left now. So engaging the citizens is something very important, and we need to focus on that, really. And this objective may look not very realistic, but you can implement it. It can be realistic if you make correct decisions. It depends on that very much as well. As a solution, on behalf of the Association of Young Architects, I can say that we have a few proposals to pay special attention to development of mahalas, these neighborhoods, because mahala is an administrative unit of the city. And if each unit will be developing independently, self-development is very good. We can achieve within very short time very good results. And also starting from engaging mahalas. We have 505 mahalas in Tashkent. If you engage them and give them good opportunity and good assets, in necessary way, support them, you can allocate one architect per each mahala, because in each city, in each district, they have architects. If you look mahala as one administrative unit, why don't we allocate one architect there so that they take care of the mahala from the point of view of territorial development? So only architects can think of that, can do that. I cannot think of that development without engagement of architects. So what is important is not only to engage communities for urban planning, but also we need to engage professional communities as well, experts. And joining these efforts, we can achieve the results within a short period of time because we have 6 years left until 2030. It was mentioned earlier. With regard to engagement of the population, I can say that there is a cultural part, spiritual part as well. When people are engaged in decision making, that development has a sense and it makes common sense as well, and that brings to a new elevated level the type of activities and so on. And people are not indifferent to what is happening around them. They know what the city needs, what their neighborhood needs, and that also improves the level of happiness of people living. There are also several other aspects, but let me stop here. So we will let others to also share comments. Thank you very much. Each mahala, they can know who is their architecture by the signature.
That I had was to Ekaterina. You know, there's a rare presentation and a rare panel that doesn't talk about AI and data. So I wanted to correct this omission of our panel and to ask Ekaterina, in what ways does BCG see that technology and data-driven approaches can be leveraged to optimize planning and development in Tashkent?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sergey. I'll try to be very, very fast. So I think many of us already heard about digital twins that have been very popular to plan the city development. What they really, help urban planners, architects to do is to simulate various scenarios of development. Would it be traffic in the transportation-oriented development? Would it be, 15-minute city? We can also involve people into simulation. They can participate. Yeah, they can build their own districts with this simulation and see how they will look like. What will be if they place here, let's say, sport terrain or a park or whatever. So I think this is the power of the technology. So first of all, the sophistication of the technology in terms of really simulation mechanisms, and second, actually involving all the stakeholders around it. And this simulation should be really a collective simulation and very transparent discussion of the results and common decisions about what's best for the city. So we've been using digital twins to plan mobility. For example, in Baku, we have now the big project in Baku with simulation of transportation development. We've been using it in the Middle East now. And with the generative AI, it's actually even more interesting, yeah, because you can actually apply some tasks, automate more tasks, and have more creative solutions in this technology.
Thank you very much. We're right on time. I appreciate the panel keeping to the timelines and also to allow a little bit of exchange at the end. There's a lot more data and there's a lot more to share, and I would invite those who are interested to continue the conversation either here or outside with the panelists. If there's not an opportunity to meet one of the panelists, please always come to me. I'll find a way to contact everyone here. And I also want to, in the end, in closing, to thank the organizers, the Tashkent International Investment Forum, our team, Anna and Dennis, and all the panelists for this really valuable, I think, exchange. And have an excellent rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.